Hey, what's happening, everybody? Welcome to the Fins Up Network, the first live stream that we've got on the Fins Up Network. We're going to be doing some viewer Q&As. We got a couple that have already come in. If you're watching the live stream, go ahead and enter your questions. We will get to those. But before I get to the live stream, I want to let you know there is one question that's already come in that I do want you guys to comment on as well. So make sure you are doing that. But I also want to give literally the shortest OTA recap of all time. Because what did we learn from OTA session number 9? That was today, Thursday. Well, very little. We learned that River Craycraft was the top performer from session 8 because he was rocking the orange jersey. But remember, there was limited attendance, so River Craycraft, we're probably not going to get used to seeing that too often. We also learned that Tyreek Hill was back today. The team posted video of him on the social media team, dapping it up with Rick Ross on the sideline. So it seemed like it was probably a pretty entertaining, fun practice today. Don't know if he participated in team drills or not. Just know that he was there. Like I said, media was not allowed there today. But let's get into some viewer questions and answers here, because when we do these, so I'm typically, if I do these, I want to do more of these live streams in the future. I want to do more Q&As in the future. I will announce them a day or so in advance. I'll put them on the YouTube community page. I'll put them on Twitter. So if you see them there, ask your question on Twitter, put it on the YouTube community page, send me a DM, however you want to ask your question, go ahead. But the first one that came in, I got to start with the first person that hit me up. It's right there. Came in on the YouTube community page. It's, who do you see as the team's starting week 1 center? Well, after everything that went down last week with minicamp and OTAs, Connor Williams made that announcement to the media and said, you know what? They've been telling me that I'm going to be the team's starting center moving forward, going into the season. So you got to believe it's him. I'll put one caveat to that, though. Let's say that something happens to him in training camp, in preseason, and all of a sudden now he's hurt. It's, does the team trust Michael Dieter enough to say, oh, you know what? You did it last year. We're going to put you back into that position. Or if JC Treader is still available, which I think is a big if, because as we get closer and closer to the season, injuries are going to happen. He's going to want to end up picking a team. Teams love offensive linemen. They love offensive lineman depth. He's going to get scooped up by somebody. So if injury were to happen, I would say you're in a battle between a free agent and Dieter. But as of right now, it has got to be Connor Williams, in my opinion anyways. Let's, this is a good one. This one just came in on the live stream here. And it's get to know Ben question. Oh, I'm excited for this one. How and when did you become a Dolphins fan? Who is the all-time favorite player? One on offense, one defense, special teams. How many jerseys do you own? Well, let's start from the top on that one. So I actually became a Miami Dolphins fan. So I was born in 87. That makes me 34. I'll be turning 35 soon. Became a Dolphins fan because my dad is. I took that route. I'm actually from Wisconsin. So I could have taken the easy route. I could have been a Packers fan. I could have enjoyed all these years of success and Super Bowls, all these prolific quarterbacks, Hall of Fame quarterbacks. No, I took it the hard way. I'm earning my fandom. But my dad became a Dolphins fan when he was growing up. Impressionable. I mean, they were the good team. His brother-in-law, the guy that turned into his brother-in-law, went to the same high school as Bob Greasy. So there was a connection there. So that's how I became a Dolphins fan. And I'm hoping that I can turn my kids into Dolphins fans as well. I mean, I named my most recent kid Cam after Cameron Wake. I mean, if he doesn't become a Dolphins fan, you're out. Yeah, you may. Yeah, I'm gonna have to find a new kid after that. I'll try to get to these ones here. It's favorite player, offense, defense. Everyone's gonna say Marino, but I'm gonna give you a non-Dan Marino answer just because I think that's too easy. That was my quarterback when I was growing up. The player that I absolutely loved for the Miami Dolphins was Chris Chambers. And believe it or not, it's not just a Wisconsin tie. I'm actually a Florida Gators fan, but Chris Chambers was he was my guy. I studied Chris Chambers so damn much when he was playing. I could tell almost by the way he was lining up whether or not it was going to be a pass or a run. And I obsessed over it. I literally learned so much watching the wide receiver position from watching Chris Chambers play. And the injury he had kind of threw his career off to the side a little bit. playing with those teams that were so heavy run-based, lack of great quarterbacks, kind of capped him. But, man, he is an all-time great Dolphins wide receiver. Defensively, I got to go with Jason Taylor. And special teams, I got to get to some other questions, so I'll wrap through this one quick. Who doesn't like, was it John Denny? I mean, the team's long snapper literally for like half of my life. I've got to give John Denny a little love right there. I got to flash this one up on the screen too. Sam says, great show. Appreciate it, Sam. That's what I'm here for. Let's go back to one of the questions I got earlier today. Kind of intrigued by this one as well. For this to be considered a successful season for Tua, what kind of final stat line do you think he needs to have? My answer to this one is a little bit beyond the stat line. There's not a specific stat line in mind that I think we can judge his performance on this year. A couple of different reasons. One, his first season was he didn't start all of the games. He was pulled in certain games. He was injured for a little while. Same thing in the second. He had that injury. We've never seen a full season to see what his baseline of stats truly is at the NFL level. Also, you've got Mike McDaniel now in the mix. First-time head coach, brand new offense. And what does Mike McDaniel want to do? He wants to run the ball. He wants to establish the run game. So the team's success on offense might not be directly correlated to, say, a quarterback that throws for 4,000 yards and 30 touchdowns, like you would see. Like, I'll use the hometown Green Bay Packers team. Like, if Aaron Rodgers doesn't put up those kind of numbers, the Packers aren't going to do well. You can't necessarily say that about the Dolphins in the situation that they're in. So what do I want to see from Tua? I want to watch the offense, and I want to be able to say that they're not being held back by the quarterback position. That if there's a bunch of incomplete passes, if you're missing open wide receivers, if you're making the wrong read, and if you're doing that time and time and time again, then it's a quarterback issue. If it's happening sporadically, but at the end of the day, there's more completions than not. The offense is moving the ball on a consistent basis. You're not going 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, putting up dud after dud after dud. You want to watch this team and say, okay, there were some growing pains because it's a new coach, a new scheme, but it wasn't because solely of the quarterback, because you've got Waddle, you've got Hill, you've got Gesicki, you've got all the new running backs. There's too much there. We're going to know after this year, offensive line as well, with Connor Williams, with Teron Armstead. There's too many things in place now where we're going to know this year whether or not the quarterback is the one that's holding the offense back. And like I said, I don't know if it's necessarily a stat line thing as much as it is just making sure that he's not the reason that the offense would be sputtering. So hopefully I answered your question, even though I kind of ducked it. Let me get to another question real quick here. This one's about those running backs that I had just talked about. Which running backs do you see making the final 53-man roster, and how do you see the backfield rotation playing out? Well, let's go through it because you got the new guys. Chase Edmonds, Raheem Mostert. I think those two are locks to make the team, especially Edmonds. Mostert, if something were to happen and indeed he's not ready to go right away, maybe they would cut him because he's on that one-year deal. But if he's healthy, if he's ready to go, he's got the experience in this system. He's got the experience with Coach McDaniel. He's making this team. So then I'm going to clump these next three guys together. It's Sony Michel, Salvon Ahmed, and Myles Gaskin. And it's almost like at least one of those guys, probably two, will end up making this team. And in my opinion, who's the odd man out? Well, I don't think it's Sony Michel, because if you look at Salvon Ahmed and Myles Gaskin, those were guys that this team inherited, that Mike McDaniel and this coaching staff inherited. Sony Michel was handpicked. So he almost gets a little bit of a leg up. And then if you compare Salvon Ahmed and Myles Gaskin, I think Ahmed's skill set fits a little bit better in this Mike McDaniel offense than Myles Gaskin. I think he's a better pass catcher. I think he's better in the zone scheme. I think he's a faster running back. I give him a little bit of a leg up. And then speaking of guys that are going to make the team, Alec Ingold is making this team. A fullback of Alec Ingold's nature and stature and success is making this team. So that's going to take a roster spot. And then if you're looking at guys like, let's say, Jared Doaks, Zaquandre White, I would say it would shock me a little bit if one of those guys makes the team, but practice squad for sure. Plus, Mike McDaniel just recently said, hey, what rookie undrafted free agent has stood out? Saquandre White was his answer. And then in regards to the rotation, let's put it this way. If you're playing fantasy football, I don't think you should draft any of these guys. Because while I think the unit will be improved as a whole, they're going to be, in my opinion at least, with the improved offensive line, with the improved scheme, with Mike McDaniel's success in the past with the running game, there's no way that this running game isn't going to be better than what we saw last year. But it's going to be such a running back by committee. It might be the definition of running back by committee because it's pick your poison. Do you want the fast, explosive guy? Well, you got Raheem Mostert. Do you want the pass catcher, but still pretty good in speed and good in that zone scheme? You got Chase Edmonds. Do you want a pass blocking guy? Do you want a goal line guy? You got Sony Michel. It's almost like they've went and got a guy specific to every single aspect of the running game. So you're going to have quite the platoon. It's feed the hot hand. We've seen the 49ers do that the last couple of years. Who's the hot hand? Was it Mostert? Is it Elijah Mitchell? Would Trey Sherman ever get extended, even though he didn't? But that's something to keep an eye on. But that's how I kind of see that rotation potentially playing it out there. Let's see. I got a comment right here that just came in. Rams fans seem really bummed out that Sony signed with Miami. They wanted to re-sign him. Well, geez, man, the Rams can't sign everyone, can they? Or can they, man? That team has decided that the salary cap does not matter. They gave Cooper Kupp the extension. They just made Aaron Donald the highest paid dude of all time. But yeah, I think Sony Michel kind of was that guy who they didn't necessarily need to expect a ton from. But when Cam Akers was down, and I know they had injuries with Darrell Henderson as well, Sony Michel came in. It's not like he lit the world on fire by any means, but he still performed at a fairly adequate level. So I could see him being this team-friendly guy that he gets the hard yards. He does the dirty work with the pass blocking. That's a guy that fans like you and I we totally appreciate. So we're going to like these grinded out guys, the Sony Michels, the Alec Ingalls. I'm excited to see how they use Ingold. We haven't seen a fullback in Miami. Chandler Cox, but did we even see him? We saw him on special teams. It's been a while. It's like Rob Conrad. Talk about a name from back in the day. I got another question here that I've talked about on a couple of previous episodes, but I'll knock it out on this stream as well. But your expectations for Channing Tindall in year one. So I still think it's probably a stretch to see him as a day one starter. But what I said in the past was, let's say he flashes. Let's say he looks consistent. Let's say he's performing to a level where it doesn't make sense to take him off the field. A player like Elandon Roberts isn't going to stand in the way of this coaching staff giving more playing time, potentially a starter role to a player like Channing Tindall, because they're going to want to know what they have there. Plus, all these linebackers, essentially, besides like Jerome Baker, are on these one-year deals. So, yeah, they're going to need all these guys, the Duke Rileys, the Elandon Roberts. But at the end of the day, Channing Tindall is the guy that they want. That's the future. But his role right away, where I see him playing, sub packages, specific parts in the game. And, man, you talk about a quarterback spy. This guy could be the definition of the quarterback spy. His ability, just the athletic ability alone, for him to kind of sit back and wait, keep his eye on the quarterback. And as soon as he takes that idea of, okay, you know what? I'm not waiting any longer. I'm getting to the quarterback. You're not going to see a linebacker get to the quarterback much faster than Channing Tindall. And he finishes too. He's either finishing with a sack or he's getting that quarterback off his spot to the point where hopefully it's a fumble or an interception or at the very least an incomplete pass. But he is great at that. And look at the division we're in. What's been the struggle in the past? It's beating the Bills. We haven't beat the Bills in forever. It's Josh Allen. He's a great scrambling quarterback, and he's evolved to the point where he's good both in the pocket and the arm, and the accuracy has come along. Channing Tindall is the guy that can help neutralize some of that. Is he the guy that's going to put him over the top and, oh, we won that game because of Channing Tindall? No, probably not. You're going to need a little bit more than that, but that's one of the pieces. That is one of the building pieces that you need in order to compete with the Buffaloes. And if you're competing with Buffalo, that means you're competing for the division. And if you're competing for that division with Buffalo, Obviously, that's a playoff spot, and obviously that's meaning success, potentially wild card round, division round, something that we haven't had in a long time. So I kind of went long on expectations for Channing Tindall, and all of a sudden I'm talking about competing with the Bills. But that's what I think you're going to see from him right away. Just kind of specialty roles right away. And hey, if he's flashing, if he's looking consistent, there's not a person at that position that's going to stop him from being on the field. Let's put it that way. I've got another. This is the one I want you guys to comment on, whether you're watching it live or the recording later, because this one's tricky. Leader this season for the Dolphins in catches, yards, and touchdowns between Tyreek Hill and Jaylen Waddle. Well, geez, we just saw Jaylen Waddle load up on catches, the rookie record for catches in a season. So it's almost like you want to say Waddle, but the funny thing about Waddle is he came into the league while he was at Alabama, he averaged like 20 yards a catch. His average length of a touchdown for Alabama, and don't quote me on this, but I think it was above like 35, 40 yards. The dude is a home run threat every time. What's kind of nice, it was kind of frustrating last year watching him play the role of a possession receiver, but we know he can take the top off of defense. We know he can create after the catch. We know he's a home run waiting to happen. But what he proved last year, he can do the nuances. He can be a possession guy. He can be a sticks guy. That truly helps. So I still think he's not going to have the amount of catches that he had last year. Don't get me wrong there. I think he leads in catches. I think Tyreek's yards per is going to be higher. So I think Tyreek might get the yards, and touchdowns are the damn hardest thing to predict. But Tyreek's got a nose for the end zone. They both kind of do to an extent. So hopefully they both hit double digits. I'm gonna cop out. Hopefully they both get 10 plus. We'll put it that way. I want to throw some more stuff up here as well. We got another question here. Hope it doesn't come back to bite us, but in the fourth, I would have drafted Zach Tom. There it is. And then talked a little bit about Kellen Deesh and Donovan West. So being from Wisconsin, obviously, I've got a lot of friends that are Packers fans. So I saw on one of the Packers beat writers reported like Zach Tom so far at their minicamp OTAs, whatever they're calling their offseason workouts right now, Zach Tom has lined up at center, left guard, and right guard. And I shared that tweet with him and said, dude, I've never been more jealous of you in my life, because when Zach Tom was still on the board in the fourth round, after the Dolphins had addressed linebacker with Tindall, when they took Erik Ezukama, I had to do homework. I knew of him. I knew a little bit about him, but I needed to do homework to learn more about him. Zach Tom was my ideal pick in the fourth round because of that versatility, because of the success that he's had. And what did the Dolphins need? They didn't need a wide receiver. I mean, we just went out and got Cedric Wilson. We just went out and got Tyreek Hill. The offensive line seemed like the need there. And I want to go so many directions with this. Not only can he play center, which was a position of need, but if you wanted to mess around and put Connor Williams at center, well, guess what? Now he can play left guard or right guard. Right guard if you wanted to experiment and put Robert Hunt out at right tackle. The versatility that Zach Tom could have provided this team, I loved. But my only justification for maybe what the Dolphins had in mind there, I've got the wrong thing up here on the screen. I apologize for any confusion there. But the only justification that I can give there is that the Dolphins truly thought Erik Ezukanma was best player available, and said, hey, just because that the offensive line may look like the team's biggest need right now, we're not going to jump up and take a guy just because of the need. And we've seen the Dolphins do that in the past. A guy like Juwan James comes to mind, where it's like, okay, I think it was like the 2014 draft. You're sitting there, I think it was around like pick 20. So many linemen had already come off the board. There's so many good players left. Now all of a sudden, Juwan James is the best offensive lineman available, and Miami said, you know what? The rush is on. We got to get one of these guys. Hey, Austin Jackson's another one of those examples. So we have examples of this happening in the past to the Dolphins, and it hasn't necessarily always worked out to their advantage. So maybe Erik Ezukama becomes the right pick in there. But I'm with you. I loved Zach Tom. I wanted that so bad. So I'm going to flash this one up on the screen here. Yes, well, I get Erik Ezukama. We had Parker. We did have, yeah. We just drafted his replacement there. Really bad. I want to break some glass. And then he changed it up and said, want to break some windows. And yeah, I get that. I wanted to throw a lot of things that day. Yeah, Miami did it with moving up for Liam Eichenberg in 21. Another great example. Another great example right there. And now Liam Eichenberg's another player that, hey, should we experiment, put him at left tackle? Hey, we can put him back at right tackle. And now it's like, well, now that Connor Williams moved to center, all of a sudden there's a hole at left guard. And now it's Liam Eichenberg's potentially a front runner for that position. So yeah, there's a lot of examples of that. I want to throw up one more of your comments from the past because this one sparked my interest big time. It said, you have to sing us the old Miami Dolphins fight song and give us your best Waddle dance. Well, if I wasn't plugged in, I would try to do the dance. I could do a little bit sitting down. But the old Dolphins fight song, we all know it. I mean, of a certain age, at least. Miami has the Dolphins, the greatest football team. Yeah, you know the rest from there. But what I wanted to say about the Dolphins fight song. So when I got married, 2018, I believe. I should probably know this. I should definitely know the date on this. But one of my buddies, another huge Dolphins fan, he went up to the DJ after like one of like the main dances where everyone's involved, so everyone was there. He made the DJ put that song on, and I had a buddy, and my wife didn't know this. No one knew this was going to happen. I ripped off my overshirt, and I had a buddy tossed me a Dolphins jersey, and the jersey was actually Ryan Tannehill. That'll put a little bit of year to this. I threw on the jersey, and we played catch back and forth, and we sang and danced and spun the ball, and everyone was just hating us because pretty much everyone at the wedding was Packers fans. But hey, Dolphins fans, we got to stick together, and that's all I can say about that. But yeah, like I said, had a good experience with that song in the past. That's what I grew up with, man. My dad made me listen to that all the time, and now I sing it all the time to my kids. So hopefully I can pass that on. Got another comment here. Dan, often commenter, appreciate all his comments. Ben, passing up on Zach Tom, we will regret. Every year Greer has one crazy pick. Hunter Long was that strange pick, and that's a great name to pick, to kind of pick apart here a little bit as well, because where does Hunter Long fit into all this? With signing Gesicki to the franchise tag, we're still having Shaheem, Sethan Carter, Durham Smythe. I'm missing another name here. There's another obvious one that I'm blanking on here. And then Hunter Long, obviously. But with having all of these guys, that position, it almost felt like a luxury pick when the team was not in a position to be drafting luxury at that time. Well, now if you look at it, you got to take a step back because Gesicki is truly only on that franchise tag. So is there a window for Hunter Long? Absolutely. If Gesicki comes in and he struggles with blocking, if he ends up not being a fit, if they have enough playmakers where they don't see the need for having a premier tight end, which I kind of feel is probably not realistic because the 49ers excelled with George Kittle, and there's numerous examples of tight ends excelling in these Shanahan, Mike McDaniel-led offenses in the past. But there's potentially a window if they don't end up bringing back Mike Gesicki long-term, that Hunter Long maybe can work his way in. But here's the thing. He's got his work cut out with Shaheem's, with Smythe, with Carter. I don't know if Carter's going to make the team or anything, but Hunter Long is one of those players that has my eye in training camp and in preseason, because everything we've seen from him, or heard from him, I should say, from pre-draft stuff, because we didn't see him on the field all too often last year. He was inactive more than not. And I get tight end is allegedly one of the hardest positions to pick up and translate into at the next level. So I get that. The fact that he was inactive a bunch of times last year didn't faze me. I'm cool with that. The depth of the position, you didn't need to throw him in. That was fine. Starting this year, you're going to need to see a little bit more, especially because that's going to factor into what this team does with Gesicki. If Gesicki doesn't excel at blocking, if he doesn't rack up all these catches and everything, maybe they're like, you know what, we can go cheaper. We got Hunter Long on a rookie deal. So we want to see him do good, and I want to see Mike Gesicki back just as much as anybody. But yeah, this is going to be a big offseason and a big season just kind of in general for Hunter Long. But That's what those were the questions that I had gotten in so far. And if long as nothing comes in the next couple of seconds here, I think I'm gonna have to wrap it back up. At some point, I'm gonna have to get back home to these kids. I was chatting in here before the live stream and said, you know what, I'm finally away. I can get away from the kids for a little bit, and I've got a spot where I can go have some peace and quiet, actually do a live stream, do a little bit of interacting with the fans, and just talk Dolphins. So that's what I really wanted to do. We got another one that just popped up here, so I'll hit this. Trey Sherman, Jabril Cox, heck, even a reach on Quinn Miners. Let's not go to Quinn Miners. I love Quinn Miners. Would have been fine with me instead of Hunter Long, and you're not going to get any complaints from me. Obviously, running back was a position in need there after Denver jumped up and was able to take Javonte Williams before Miami could pick. Jabril Cox, you got another defender there that could definitely step in and contribute. Maybe not from day one, but late year one, he was already doing good work. But Quinn Miners, man, imagine this team with Quinn Miners right now. You got a plug and play guy already. You could solve some positions of need already, and a guy whose future looks pretty bright, especially after what he showed early already in year one. Yeah. Crazy thing about it, Flores had the last say on the roster, and now we know where Flores is right now. So yeah, that's kind of unfortunate that it went down that way. But hey, I could say hindsight's 2020, and we probably shouldn't pile on Flores, but dude, I'm with you. I'm with you, and I'm so happy. I put this on a comment to someone not too long ago on a previous video that I started off as a Brian Flores fan. I was big on Brian Flores. I loved the attitude that he had, how much passion he showed, especially in that 2019 season where things weren't built for him to succeed. He was playing with the worst roster in the NFL, and he still mustered that team to, what was it, like 5 wins? Very competitive towards the end of the season. What he was able to get out of those players, but then you translate, and it started up here, and it just got worse and worse and worse, where that season should have been just the start of things that were great to come. So the fact that everything that's come out about him, his coaching, what the team felt like, not just the players, but the staff, him ignoring Tua and ignoring coordinators, it just piles up and piles up. And it's like, now you've got Mike McDaniel. And if you watch Fins Up Network in the past, I describe Mike McDaniel as the breath of fresh air. It's exactly what he is. Their players are laughing, they're playing their own music during the OTAs and minicamp. And I get the old school, like, whoever the old coach was that was just in the media, should have turned the music off and started it over. Dude, it's June. Calm down. It's June. And Mike McDaniel said, yeah, maybe I come off as this fun, high energy guy, but at the end of the day, I'm going to get the most out of my players. I'm a teacher. I'm going to teach these guys. I'm going to lead these guys. But Jesus, maybe I have a different leadership and management style than maybe what you had, and definitely than what Brian Flores had. I got to throw this up there. Thanks for doing the live stream. Keep up the good work all day, every day. That's what we're here to do. Oh, yeah, that too. Dodged the bullet with Deshaun Watson. Yeah, like 23, 24 bullets, right? Woo-hoo! He's crushing it there. What do we got here? Instead of picking up the linebacker we did from Cleveland, shouldn't we have looked at getting another veteran lineman? Well, potentially. I would also say that the guy, I'm just blanking on his name right now, that they got from Cleveland, he's not a lock to make the roster. He's got like 20-some starts. I don't have a ton on him right now. I got to do a little bit of digging on my own. I don't want to lead you down a path with that. But I would say as of right now, his chances of making the team, he's got an uphill battle. He definitely has an uphill battle going into it. And there's more roster spots to be had. This team's going to make a lot of more moves going forward. So signing another veteran lineman, there's potential. And like I said, J.C. Tretter is probably off the board right now for the Dolphins after announcing that Connor Williams, hey, you're the guy at center. There's potential that J.C. Tretter just simply doesn't want. He's been in the league forever. He trusts himself. He knows his body. The teams know his body. There's a potential that he just doesn't want to be there right now. He wants a little bit more time off. It's not uncommon for this kind of stuff to happen. Veterans holding out, see how things shake out, see which team has injuries, see which teams are looking good going into the season, and then just you can hand pick of the teams that are interested in you. So there's still a chance that the Dolphins could end up with a guy like that. So that's what it is. It's funny. Take your pick. Fins, Eagles, Panthers, Falcons, Saints, Commanders, Broncos, all these teams dodge the Watson bullet. And that's then that truth. And you can even say, yeah, they dodged the bullet, but man, all these teams at one point were rumored to be interested in them. And you know that a lot of them knew about a lot of these girls. So it's not like it's really shining a super positive light on them the way it is, which is kind of sad to say because the Dolphins were unfortunately one of those teams. But geez, imagine that. Imagine giving up that haul. Imagine having a guy that every single day that goes on, there's a new allegation. There's new reports coming out. You got the Texans now involved with the whole hotel thing and lining up rooms and knowing about all this stuff. The last thing the Dolphins needed was another PR nightmare. The fact that they were able to put this to bed with the new coaching staff, with a guy that says, you know what, Tua is our guy, and we can just push that away now. Let's let that be the Browns' problem. Hey, that's one more team in the AFC. That's one more team in the AFC that hopefully, if things don't work out well, Miami doesn't have to worry about being in the playoff contention with, because, geez, that is going to be interesting to watch. I'm going to knock out this one too because I like this question. What do you have planned for the summer on your channel? Well, I want to do one of the biggest things I want to do is I want to do not necessarily a position by position breakdown, but I want to break down individual players, take a deeper dive on individual players throughout the offseason. And I have to get my my Game Pass working because I want to add some film to that to show specific plays and examples of what I'm talking about with certain players. But I'm having some issues right now with my Game Pass. So that's a little bit on hold. But one thing that I'm really looking forward to, and pay attention to this because this is going to be great. I have loaded up on Miami Dolphins trivia questions, and I've got a trivia game in mind where maybe once a month, once every three weeks or so, I want to do Miami Dolphins trivia with prizes, and it'll basically be I'm given the question, and whoever gets the answer in first is gonna win those. So yeah, I got a lot of great things planned. It's going to be fun. Make sure you're if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe. We just did a giveaway as well. Just gave away a Miami Dolphins canvas art from the Backroom Collection. Check out their website, backroomcollection.net. Miami Dolphins canvas art. It is super quality stuff. They've got awesome selection. The guy who won actually picked a Jalen Phillips canvas art. So check those out. Maybe I can team up with them again and do another giveaway with them. So make sure you're paying attention to all of that. Glad we didn't pick up Watson. Go Fins. Can't agree with that more at all. But hey, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to wrap it up for today. But like I said, thank you to everyone that asked a question before the show, during the show, had comments throughout. Let's hear your comments as well about that. Who's going to lead between Waddle and Hill in receptions and yards and touchdowns, because that is anyone's best guess. But thanks again to everyone that tuned in. And until next time, Dolphins fans, fins up.